there, Jason with AMI Detail. I am attempting another live. The Pocket 3 did not work, which I think I've heard a lot of people say that it sucks for trying to use it as live. So I got my phone going. I think that's working. I think I got the orientation the right way. Let's see if what I do here. No. Okay, so let me try to hook this on here. Okay, it looks like that'll work. The only thing I'm wondering is everything reversed, or are you seeing this straight? And let's see, I'm not seeing anyone's comments here. But then again, oh, hey Alvin, I see you. Cool. So am I reversed? Is my lettering, is this right side? Like, can you read it, or is it actually flipped? I don't know if this is like a phone thing. Okay, so that must be something, I don't know if that's the setting that the camera does. I don't know. Kind of annoying. Well, I can go this route. So if I just go ahead and flip it this way. Hey, Corey. Let me adjust my camera some, get the... Okay. I'm getting there. Thanks for your patience. Yeah, I bet you're right. I bet it's a mirror thing on there. So, but should be right side this way. So, hey. So the bad thing is I can't see anyone's comments when I'm doing it this way. That's what I was kind of hoping to be able to see. I guess I can just pop around every so often. But at any rate, so I did all this morning and then realized that I did not. I went back to my the dual Ryobi setup, the 1800s. I had the automotive high flow going for a while, and it was like a chase for the ultimate GPM, which, I got over that 3 GPM. And then I realized that it's just like murder on your wrist. It's like all this pressure, and I don't know. I was just like, okay, I was happy at the around that 2.5 GPM. So I'm like, well, if I was already happy with that, went down this other path, and anyways, it's cheaper going the other way anyways. But anyways, what I want to talk about was the Talking with Cars Foam Cannon. So, basically MJJC, the S version 3 clone. But what Rob's done with this is, it doesn't mix the same. And the settings and everything are, they stay set. So there's differences about this one that you don't get with the MJJC. It mixes it, with my system, it's like a 12-to-1, which is less than what the MJJC does. So you actually are using a little less product when you use it and stuff. But the really cool thing is Rob included that the M28 thread in there, so you can screw the bottles directly in there. So what I've been doing, again, this came from Franco. He says, yeah, just take your little Griot's Garage. You can see here, it's got the little aqua tip that normally would be in the ball of the Griot's, and just put it right in the end of the pickup tube. So, and that's been working awesome. So what I wanted to show was how this, so what I did, let's see, I've got 4 different bottles here. So this one has got the, using soft wash and all this, and I mixed this at 5-to-1, so, I had 300 milliliters of water and 60 milliliters of soft wash in there. And basically what I want to do is basically show what the foaming looks like at these known dilutions. And then, and this would be like basically like what if you're going to use hard wash on tires, you're mixing it like at those ratios. So a lot of this is just it's not necessarily about the product, it's more just about the comparison of kind of the foaming and stuff like that, and then seeing how that translates to metering. So basically I've got 4 different ones. I got a 5-to-1, 10-to-1, 15-to-1, and what's the other one? 30-to-1. And then, so we can do 4 different tests of the foaming there. And then what I'll do is put the metering. So on these, I'll just have it set at max and without the metering. So, and again, that's the nice part. Here's the other cool thing. You can have these pre-mixed, and you can put since you got that thread, you can just screw it right on there. So that's the other nice part about having that other thread, besides having to swap solution. So an example of, so even if you weren't using the metering tip, even with just using it straight, you could easily have your wheel, have wheel cleaner in a bottle that you want to foam on, and then foam it on, unscrew that, clean it out, just run some water through, and then screw the other bottle on for foam, doing your pre-wash. And then the same way, after your pre-wash, put on your neutral soap for a contact wash. So, and the nice part, if you mix with distilled water, you can just leave that, and that's where I just have these little caps that I put on the bottles. And but anyway, it's just something that I do with that. So yeah, let me kick this on. Okay, so what we got is, I got the dual Ryobis. So something that I ran into is the automotive high flow, like an individual one works awesome. Like if you're going to just pick one, one pressure washer that's kind of the best budget kind of thing, that Ryobi, the automotive high flow, works great. The nozzles that come with it are already tuned for the best performance. And so the thing was, since they lower that pressure, they lower that, the max pressure to gain the gallons per minute. So what happens is with a foam cannon, and I'm doing a lot of this through testing, so I don't have real good, can't explain it exactly, but all I know is with the higher PSI, I get a lot better foam, because like when I had the dual automotive high flow, they're only 1200 PSI, where these are rated 1800 PSI, which then none of them get that anyways. It's kind of, those numbers don't exactly mean much. But the whole idea is it's higher, you know, these are higher PSI than the other. And the biggest thing was, since the other ones are already fine-tuned, you know, kind of like tuned for maximum performance, I could only run one because the amperage would actually get up over like 18 amps of, you know, between the two, which is, that's not good. You know, they're really designed just to be like 15 amps or less. So again, I was on a 20 amp circuit, so it would handle it, but it's definitely going to affect the life of the pressure washer. The cool part on these is, you know, I think you end up at maybe, I think it's like 13 amps or something. And that's running the duals, so I can run both of them. And I got the 1.25 orifice in here. So the nice part is when you're running the duals, I don't have to go and shut one off and do all this other stuff. I can just leave them on, use it, and it just simplifies it and actually get better performance with that higher PSI. So but anyways, I got this set at max, no metering tip, got a 5-to-1. So I'm going to go ahead and foam that on. Let me double check what you can see here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do just this front section here. So you can see, like, you know, especially for like a wheel, I know it's mostly out of frame, but you know, if you're using Yum wheel foam or something, that's perfect. You want something that's got a really thick foam, and you know, because on a wheel it's a lot different than paint. You know, paint especially on a vertical surface like that, yeah, it's just dragging down way too fast. So let's swap over to again, and I'm just putting. That's the other nice part with having that the quick connect. I've just got the water in there. Just using that to clean it out. All right, go ahead and take all my caps off now Okay. So the next one is the 10-to-1. And again, this is a real common mixture for dilution for foaming, which just because it's so easy just to, you know, do 100, you know, 900 milliliters and 100 milliliters of soap, and there you go, you're good to go. So, but yeah, let's see what this one looks like. So again, real thick foam. And again, so when we switch to the metering, that's what we're going to try to basically duplicate the same levels of foam, and just by changing the adjustment knob. So, okay, rinse that. Now we're at a 15-to-1. So that's, you know, doing 300 milliliters and with 20 milliliters of soap in that one. So you can kind of see what that looks like for the foam level. Now I'd say you're getting more what a pre-wash. Well, both of those look, I mean, the way this one's sticking, that looks pretty nice, and you know, kind of moving down real slow. I'd say this is more like the garage therapy, what they recommend. They want something, you know, pulls down a little quicker, a little runnier. Okay, I'll rinse again. And the last part of the panel is at a 30-to-1. So this would be doing like basically 1 ounce into, you know, a full foam cannon. You can get an idea what that looks like. And again, I'm going to double check my. Okay, get this last little bit. And to me, that's way too runny for what I would, really use. So. Okay, so now putting that Griot's Garage, the aqua tip into that end of there for the metering. And this time we just put soft wash, just the concentrate bottle directly on. So now just the tip by itself set at max should be similar to that 5-to-1. So again, I'll foam that on and we'll compare kind of what the foam looks like, and see what, just as a good comparison that way. And to me, that looks very similar to what the 5-to-1 looked like. So then, what I'm going to do is back this off. And I think it was around a half turn. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So, and again, I don't have the measurements yet. So this is really just determining what measurements I want to take. So I've got the, so again, we're at half. Okay, so the first one, basically kind of that 5-to-1. This one I'm aiming to what that 10-to-1 looked like. So I'm going to go back change it by another half. So we're basically one full revolution from where it was set originally. And this would be to be, shooting for like what a 15-to-1 looks like. Yeah, to me, that looks pretty strong still. So that's the crazy part on this foam cannon. It's got kind of a lot more adjustment than some of the others. Okay, so I'll just go at a full 1.5 revolutions. See where we're at down here. Yeah, so that 1.5 really looks pretty similar to what that, the 1-to-30 or the 30-to-1 ratio. So let's go back and try this other one at 1.25. It's kind of crazy. It does not take too much adjustment to make a difference. So let's see. I'm going to do a quick rinse here, just because kind of give it a little different. Oh, grabbed the wrong nozzle for that one. I forgot I got the duals on, so using a 3.0 nozzle. So yeah, that's pretty high pressure for that. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Again, this is backed off 1.25 turns. Yeah, so I'd say that's... So for the measurements that I want to take now for kind of doing the PIR or whatever, to actually find out what these dilutions are, I'm going to do one at max. I'm going to do one with backed off half of a revolution. and then I'll check one at actually 1.25, and then 1.5. And that's somewhat simulates what the known dilutions are. So, I didn't get that far this morning. All I got was, kind of got to that point, but, so let me get set up here. Get that cleaned out. So just shot a video with this, but I never finished editing it and everything. But so here's an example of, so here's a 3.0 nozzle, and I shut off one of them. So this is just a single Ryobi, you know, the $99, the 1800. So again, the flow is about 1.25. So I'll show you what that looks like for rinse off. So this is where a lot of people are like, well, the duals, why would you want that? Why do you need, 2.5 gallons a minute for a rinse off? And a lot of it's just the, it saves time, but that's really kind of a cop out. I mean, it's more just for the fun of it, and not necessarily the fun, just the enjoyment, just, like I said, I can drive to town in my son's Focus. Sure, gets me to town. Would I rather do take that same drive in my Porsche? Yeah, it's more fun. Same thing. It's not that you have to have it or anything, but having 2.5 gallons a minute, it's just a different experience. So, but here's the rinse off with that. Oh, I gotta turn the other one on. Okay, so I got the duals back on. I mean, just the way it floods panels is just a whole different level. But again, you're jumping right from 1.25 gallons up to basically 2.5 gallons. So effectively doubling, and that was the hard part on when you jump, when you went from, that's a 100% increase. But when you go from this dual up to the dual automotive, the automotive high flow, that only got you up to 3 gallons a minute. So you're only talking another, 30% or something. So it's not it's not that big a jump. So let me get the rest of this rinsed off since we're kind of done with I don't want to leave all the soap on here. Okay. So even though I'm backwards, I'll go ahead and turn you around here. And see if I can see any comments that come through. Sorry, I missed pretty much everything you guys have said. Let's see if I got a table. Okay. Sorry to keep moving you all around here. So this is what I do for, I know everything's backwards now, but my wife saw the shirt. She's like, yep, definitely. Let me overthink this. Yeah. I'm a data guy. I like this stuff, kind of nerd out on it. So basically what we're gonna do now is PIR. So what I use this little scale for to weigh. Again, okay, so Steve Pearson, he's got an awesome video about. So the cool part is you can do everything by weight. So I do kind of course I can't just stop there. I got to do a hybrid method of that. So I use this precision scale for the to measure the foam cannon before and after. And then for the bucket part of it, I use, actually measure that out because that's a lot, to me it's more accurate. And I was seeing a lot of errors because I didn't have I didn't have a scale that was accurate enough for that. So again, still have the aqua tip loaded in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and set this to max right now so I don't forget. Let me clear my scale out here. See if I got too much water. Yeah, it's over. Thing with a small scale, it doesn't have a whole lot of. Okay, so I'm at 610.1 grams, and milligrams, and each milligram equals a milliliter. So again, this is you can see I call it the SP data collection method. That SP is Steve Pearson. And what we do is, so I have these written down for noon. So basically at, I'm going to call it at 0. And then we're going to do one at minus 6 o'clock. And the next one is going to be at a minus 1.25. I'm going now. I swapped the turns on you. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go to minus 0.5. I'm going to stick with turns instead of the clock. The last one is at a minus 1.5. So those are the four different ones. Again, we're using the 1.25. all with the dual Ryobi 1800s. For a while I was playing with hose sizes, so I like the 1/4 inch, I just stuck with that. Only reason I had to go to the 3/8 was to get the higher flow, and again, chasing something that really wasn't worth it. So let's see, yeah, everything's backwards again, I'm sorry. So, and again, we'll put the foam cannon before was at 160.1. And all we do is run the I'm going to grab a stopwatch. You don't have to do it for a minute, but I find that it works well that way. That way there's consistency between the measurements. Well, I don't know where my stopwatch went. Oh, I know. We were actually using it for work. Hate it when work gets in the way. You gotta lose your tools to actually be productive, or lose your toys, I should say. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to use this bucket. So the nice part when you're doing the foam cannon one, it doesn't spray all over and crazy like the when you're doing like a pressure test one. So again, I got the dual Ryobis on right now, and we have the known measurement of what's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just in a top knob set it max. So I'll start the timer. And again, the time doesn't really matter. It's just a way of kind of equalizing each of the different tests. So we'll go ahead and get the weight after. So now we're at 442.8. And then we'll measure. See, I had some foam or some suds in there still, so this could be interesting getting a measurement. Okay, so like I said, this is the hybrid part of it that I do, is I just go ahead and measure using the container versus weight, just because I was seeing too much variation because of the scale. I tried getting a more accurate scale and it didn't really help much. So there we got 4,000 milliliters there. Okay, and I got call it 3,300 there. So between the two, you got 7,300, and that's the amount, the total amount of liquid collected. Okay, so let me try to rinse this out some. Hopefully I won't have as many suds next time. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this back up a little bit. So actually, I think that's where my soap's coming from, is that bottle. So let me actually rinse it. Okay, so for the next one, starting at I'm gonna have to go back on the video on this one because I see I wrote something down wrong on the first one, but anyways, we'll get it right on this one. We got 573.4. And this one, we're going to go back half a turn. This would be simulating like what a 10-to-1 ratio possibly is. Okay. Again, grab the after weight of the bottle here. 469 even. 469. There we we got our 4,000. And that one's at 33.50. So we're at 73.50. And basically what you'll start to see a pattern, it'll be a similar amount of water, or it goes through basically. And the main difference is the amount of solution that's being drawn up. You know, the amount of the soft wash. So the main difference is that's going to change it is actually what you're seeing. The difference is here with the, you know, how much product is actually being drawn out. Okay. And each one of these is going to be drawn less. Okay, 702.1. So yeah, I bet that first one was supposed to be 760.1. But anyways, we'll see what probably just my old eyes. Okay, so on this one, like I said, we're gonna set back 1 1/4 turns. So after on the bottle is at 655.9. Total collected. Okay, you got 4,000 there. Be nice if it was a nice day, you could actually just dump it outside, but it was snowing earlier. Again. Okay, so that one, again, we're at 30, so we're at 32.50 this time. So now we're at 72.50 total. So I'm going to we got plenty to do this last test. So it's going to start at that 655.9. So I don't need to re-measure that. I'm going to set this top dial back so it's 1.5 turns back from max. After 618.5. And we'll see what we got total for total output. Got our 4,000. And okay, and that's right at 3,300. So again, right back at that 7,300. Okay. Thanks for sticking with me. Yeah, it's been, what are we at, 48 minutes? And my phone might die any minute. I'm not really sure. Okay, so I'm going to attempt something else here. Can I... I thought I could share a screen or something. Yeah, I'm not real sure how to do that, so what I'm going to do is just bring you along. Yeah, so just give you a quick, so yeah, this is basically with the shop and no drain. What I'm gonna do is use that bad boy and suck it up. Because, yeah, if I hit the door here, we would have a nice skating rink. If I decide to, just squeegee it out the door here, it would not melt, because I'm not even sure the next time it's supposed to get above freezing, so. But hey, it looks like snow stopped, so that's not too bad. But anyways, okay, let me go in on the PC. enter these numbers so we can get an idea. And then we'll call it quits after that. I'll stop torturing everyone, especially when you get to the math portion of the test. Oh, let's see here. If I go back to so yeah, basically, this is the sheet that I'm working on. So I'm just going to enter the numbers from here. Pretty sure that was supposed to be 760.1 because 160.1 doesn't make sense, and I bet I just misread that 1 as a, or that 7 as a 1. So anyways, we're going to put that for now. And this is classic how I fill out forms. I don't go in order. I end up just jumping around because I don't know. Just tend to do that. 469, 442.8. And this one I got a 573.4, 702.1. Okay, so what do I got here going on? I had some numbers I was playing with before. Okay, so yeah, this mixing rate column here is basically what, yeah, so when that was set at max, that is running like a 4.3% PIR. So that's like really, let's see here. So that would be, yeah, that's why that's a 1 to 3. So if we're talking, I need to do a little for me going back the other way. But anyways, it's almost a, okay, equals 1 divided by 3. Why is it not putting that in decimal? How weird. It's basically a 1 to 2.5 for kind of a ratio. That's kind of crazy. Let's see this one at a 0.14. Okay, I'm going to do this a different way. I'm just going to take Okay. This is annoying. Where is my... Okay. This is probably more... Kind of scary. We got August of 24. That's over a year ago. Yeah, I've been playing with this stuff way too much, huh? But yeah, I'm going to... copy these. Paste that. Well, of course, it wants to just... It's so handy, it just wants to help me. Anyways, I know the date. I don't need to change them all, but that's fine. I'm going to do it. Okay. So I'm going to take my information from that other... total water of those 4. And the... how much was used for product. Okay, so now this sheet, I already have the calculations here. So yeah, so basically that's doing a... so when I had it at... So again, this was like basically at 0, minus half a turn, minus 1.25 turns, and minus 1.5 turns. So then you can see it basically was like... So yeah, it was like a 1 to 6. I don't know if these are quite calculating correctly. But anyways, I'll go back and check all this eventually. But yeah, so we got like basically a 1 to 6 when we were there. So again, I was aiming for like a 1 to 10. But at least the nice part is, you know, when I put that foam cannon, you know, use the metering tip, and I know I can just back it off half a turn, and that's basically where I'm sitting at a similar dilution. So, so yeah, that was the main thing, just to kind of verify where we're at. That 1 to 15 was almost dead on. So yeah, I must have a little better eye on that one. And the 1 to 30, I really can't get down. That's what you start to run into once you back that adjustment screw up so far. It kind of just, it doesn't really have much effect. So, but yeah, that's kind of where you can, how you can change that adjustment screw, and then how that changes your panel impact ratio, and then which is just basically your dilution. So it's, I know they try to make it some magic thing, and basically like, and the cool part was on the T2 on Incredible Suds, you know, I've input the PIR and the dilution ratio on that bottle, and that proved out the you know, where we wanted, you know, because I had asked him during one of the lives about, you know, chemical manufacturers are assuming a 10% that a foam cannon is going to dilute at 10%. And I know that's what Jeff was showing on his videos about, changing the amount of soap to account for the difference, basically factoring in for PIR. So, but anyways, hey, I just got a warning about 5% on my battery, so I think I better call it quits here soon. But again, hey, thank you for joining me today. And again, hopefully I can take parts of this video, kind of edit it into something that's not so drawn out. But again, had a good time. And oh, sorry, Corey. I know it gets to be that way. Try to figure out how to turn my screen back up, because yeah, Android. So yeah, Blue Crush. I see that. Let's see if I scroll back up, try to catch up on some of this stuff here. Yeah, and that's the crazy part out there. I would almost rather just be doing rinseless washing, because it's just a lot less of a mess right now. So yeah, definitely. And let's see. But yeah, yeah, I did get to test a few of the different versions of Blue Crush for Rob. Yeah, I sent him a video on one of them that I screwed up big time, and it was funny because I was stuttering big time because it did not go as planned. I had the bright idea. I took the pressure washer, just a single, outside and ran it off a hose, and yeah, the foam was horrible and it was all because of the setup of the pressure washer. So another one of those things I'd like to do a video on sometime, because I'm sure a lot of people struggle with foaming, and it could just be as simple as they're running off a garden hose that's restricting, because I had it on one of those kind of magic hose thing, one of those expandable ones. Definitely not, the water pressure, everything was not good, and that translated to poor foaming with the foam cannon, which I did not expect that one. So it was cool. I learned something. But yeah, Rob was like, "What did you do to my soap?" It was me. It was not the soap. So that blueberry scent that he's got is rocking. So that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, I know that. Like I said, I'm going back through some of the things. I see Westcat was talking about the set of 6, and yeah, I thought the set was like an actual set, but no, the Griot's has it's 6 of all the same one. So I tried a couple different sets off of Amazon, but they're not different. They were totally different sizes. So but I actually just use the Aqua and then do the adjustment from there. So I don't actually use anything other than that. But anyways, let's see. Yeah, the MJHC filters, those are good for sure. Oh, yeah, I see you talking about the delay in the soap delivery. Yeah, when you're using metering, there is it just takes a little bit for it to finally suck up, especially since I had rinsed it out and then started again. Kind of once you get that suction going, then it doesn't do that. But when you first did it, yeah, it was, Corey hit it dead on. It's full of water, and that orifice is so small. It's only like 17 thousandths. So again, being a, being at the shop here and working in precision stuff, a piece of paper is basically 3 thousandths thick. So, you're talking something that's, basically about just 6 pieces of paper thick. that's the size of that hole. So, but anyways, yeah, adding a drain to the shop, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know. That'd be cool to do that flooring system where it kind of drains out through there, but that's right where our fork truck drives, so I don't think that's gonna work either.